All right, when we think about how effects of diffusion, this should really be called effects of cultural diffusion, that you have diffusion moving throughout the world. It's really going to look different depending on how different people react. Because, and again, you're looking at people's identity here, and how people react is really a big deal. I have four different primary ways here: acculturation, assimilation, syncretism, or uh, syncretic faith or syncretic or syncretism, and multiculturalism, also known as cultural pluralism. What you have here is just so many different pieces that exist in the world. Now, if you go back to migration, you'll see some similarities here because that was just relocation diffusion. What's relocation diffusion? Moving of people. Well, this is moving of cultures, which goes with people. So acculturation is adapting a cultural trait while maintaining a uniquely different culture. I think a good example of this is actually K-pop, that it is pop culture of Korea by a significant United States influence with that, and then vice versa. We're down there in the bottom. You have one of your more famous ones, Psy with Gangnam Style, doing a pistachio commercial in the United States. You can also think Taco Bell, which if you think Taco Bell is good Mexican food, I have some places that you should go to, or like Olive Garden being good Italian food. Well, it's all good food. It's not it's not just the cream of the crop of those different places. Assimilation. Assimilation is when a person basically gives up their culture when they move to a different one. Now, most of the time, this happens within 3 to 4 generations. That if you look in the United States, any group that has moved to the United States has either assimilated and has maintained their own assimilation over time, or maintained their own cultural identity over time, and it's really just been different groups of people doing that. So, like where you have more or less Europeans have all assimilated together, you have different cultures from other parts of the world, and I do mean basically anywhere else in the world, have maintained a lot of their own unique cultures. But at the same time, and this gets to be really tricky because like I'm generalizing in a lot of ways, and many cultures have taken different views in this. Syncretism is the mixing of cultures, very similar to acculturation in some ways, but syncretism is the fact that you bring them all together, or you bring multiple cultures together, and it wouldn't be recognizable to the other culture, where acculturation keeps that. Then the last one down there is multiculturalism, coexistence of several cultures in a society, also known as a plural society. It kind of depends on how you look at this. Multiculturalism, I think of as when all the people are living together, where a plural society is where that they are living there, but they are still separate. Give you an example of a plural society. Germany is usually considered a plural society where you have the Germans and the Turks who basically live separate from each other inside of the German society as a whole, and they don't really interact a ton. What that, especially a plural society, can lead to is a lot of nativism, which is your anti-immigrant attitudes, ethnocentrism, your culture is better than the other one, and then xenophobia, the fear of outsiders. Here's the main thing. There's 4 good vocab terms you should know there, and really 5 with cultural pluralism as well. But the key thing is how do culture is a huge part of your identity, and how do people react to that? That's really hard. Because in the end, if you think that your culture is better than somebody else's, you probably should learn about that other culture and learn more about it and know where they're coming from and understanding other people and understanding how that culture works. Because if you're not, that's ethnocentrism. It's really hard to talk about culture a lot in the world right now because people think it's either good or bad. And that's really something that should be avoided, where it's not just a good, bad binary. It's really more looking at, okay, well, let's try to understand other people. Let's try to understand other people and then try to come to some conclusions, because so many conclusions get made ahead of time before the people even know what's going on. And getting to know other people, and then a diffusion of cultures can take place in a way that's safe for everybody. So the big thing from this lecture, make sure you know your 4 definitions here of acculturation and try to know other cultures in the world.